My name is Matt Frana, project coordinator with the Upper Iowa Watershed Project. Working with the Upper Iowa Watershed Management Authority. Our main goals with these projects are to protect against flooding, improve and protect water quality, enhance wildlife habitat, with the main goal of allowing the community to become more flood resilient after big major rain events. So what we are doing with these road projects is we're able to look at locations in the county where we can adapt current infrastructure in order to detain water short term. In this case, we are able to raise the road, modify the culvert that was there, and then be able to pool water back behind it. And then after a heavy rain event, water will then get stored behind this and be able to slowly release. So then that way that peak flow event downstream is reduced with the hopes of reducing flood damage by installing these. So eventually this permanent pool will come up to this pipe here, and this will be the primary outlet for this pond. And then the flood storage will be up to this larger pipe here, and then we have the larger pipe in place so that way the water doesn't overtop the road after a big rain event. It'll go down through. And then, so actually with this project here, we raised the road about 10 feet, which the county really likes because it just makes the road safer. And we got some better infrastructure put in because of that as well. So. This one is not connected to a stream. There's probably a kind of a seep spring up above here where water's coming in. At this location, there was actually a pond here originally that the dike was already kind of past its life expectancy. It had been about 40 years old. There was trees in it and just was silted in, wasn't really functioning the way it was supposed to anymore. The landowner had contacted me to maybe see about redoing the pond and stuff, and I knew we were looking for more of these road structure type projects. And so talked to him about maybe the possibility of doing that, looked into it, and it turned out that that was going to be a good solution to the problem. So we were able to utilize the old structure, the dirt and stuff for that to help build up the road and just kind of clean things up, make it a better functioning pond with wetland ecosystem. We'll have native vegetation planted around this as well. So just kind of enhancing the wildlife benefit here. This drainage area here is about 80 acres, and now with the improved road benefits, we're going to see probably a reduction in about 50 to 60% after a heavy rain event from 4.5 to 7.5 inches in 24 hours that this could handle. And so when you're reducing stream flow by about 50% downstream of that, that can make a difference, especially when you do multiple of these in the same area. This probably got finished up about a month ago. They still got to come back and seed the native vegetation. It was too late in the season to seed that at the time that they were done with all the dirt work. But then the structure and the road itself will also be, or not the road, but just the sides, will be seeded with native vegetation too. So this will be all natives around here. And I guess some of the other benefits to doing projects like these versus on private land when you're working with the road structures is then the county kind of takes control of them. So they become pretty much a perpetual project that should be around forever as long as they're maintained. Where you may have with some of these other pond structures or that on private landowner land that, after 40 or 50 years, we really don't know what's going to happen with them. It's going to be up to the landowner to continue to maintain those, or, at some point that they're going to reach their life expectancy. And so with these, there may be a little bit more upfront cost. But long term, they're going to be around forever. So yeah, as far as what the county actually is going to be maintaining, with the natives and stuff, the landowner has agreed to maintain that. They're very interested in the wildlife habitat. But as far as what the county will maintain and kind of have an easement over is the pool at which the water could get to before it overtopped the road. And so the main thing that they'll be watching for with the county maintenance is, any debris that would get into the pipe that could potentially block that. And then if, it gets really sedimented in where it's not really functioning the way it was supposed to, would be another thing that they would be watching and stuff. So yeah, this site in particular too, this is one of the only ones we actually we gotta have another one contracted that will have a permanent pool. But actually a lot of these sites, they won't hold a permanent pool. There's different reasons for that. Some of them is that they have a perennial stream going through them, and so with the permitting, Army Corps permitting and stuff, the mitigation for those just wasn't feasible for us to deal with these projects. And some of them are on pastures too, where the landowner wasn't really looking for a pond or a permanent pool. And in those cases, we may not be gaining the wildlife and nutrient reduction and sediment benefits from having a permanent pool, but the flood reduction benefits are going to be higher because there's just going to be more storage for that water, and just be able to slow that a larger percentage of water down, I guess, with some of these. We've probably installed a little over 30 practices. It's installed or contracted to install. As far as them being tested, we really haven't. It's been fortunate, I guess, that the weather's been pretty decent for us when we started getting into doing construction for these projects. So construction has been, for the most part, going pretty good, pretty smooth, and haven't had to deal with a lot of issues with that, which is fortunate. So yeah, I think the largest kind of rain event we had earlier or this summer was, we probably had one that was like 3 to 4 inches in some places in 24 hours, or maybe a little bit more of that in certain spots. And we didn't see really any issues with any of our structures being able to handle that. These are typically, designed to control more of a probably 6.5 to 7 inch rain, 24 hours. And so that's when we get those, that's where they'll really be tested, I guess. Yeah, definitely some unique challenges working in this karst Northeast Iowa landscape. Just selecting the sites, being aware of, the type of bedrock you got below the sites. We did have a few sites that we brought Iowa Geological Survey in just to do some additional testing, getting a better idea with electrical resistivity imagery, seeing what type of bedrock is below where we're going to be pooling water, ensure that there's no significant big fractures that could potentially turn into sinkholes. So we want to be sure of that. And there's certain places in the county where that's more prevalent, more of a risk. The spot where we're at here, we really don't have that risk in this part of the county, but there was definitely a few of these projects that we looked at a little bit closer with that. The other thing that becomes a challenge too is getting the adequate building material or soils that we need with the clay content to build these structures, making sure that we had enough of that within a reasonable distance of the site. So a lot of these are kind of built in pasture areas, so we're not going to disturb cropland with the pooling of water. And so being able to get the majority of our material from more of a pasture or set aside area that's not being utilized for cropland is typically areas that we're targeting for these practices. I know we had a few projects that we started looking into and realizing that the majority of the construction material was going to need to come from a crop field, and the landowners kind of were turned off by that, which was understandable because, the compaction from construction and stuff would really damage some of their cropland. And so that was something that could be a challenge just because, a lot of times we don't have a lot of soil or depth to bedrock between our soil, or we don't have a thick soil layer to work with. And so that was maybe one of our challenges too. My favorite thing working with the project was probably just getting to know all the people in the area and the community, working with these projects. We've had phenomenal just interest in doing these projects. For the most part, all the landowners have been really easy to work with. are interested in helping out the community with these projects by reducing, the potential of flooding downstream. And then, even in this area, we've done several of these road projects, and the benefits just even in the local area for some of the landowners and farmers might be just they might have to fix a fence less frequently, and just dealing with their pasture land or farm fields and stuff, getting messed up quite as bad as they maybe normally would have. So yeah, that's been good.